Hi, I'm Louise Fletcher and I help artists to find their own unique creative voice. And today I'm joined by another artist who also does that for a really powerful conversation about how to make unique, compelling, amazing art that other people want to buy and that you love. Nick is about to teach a free online workshop, which is the reason we first got together. You can find the link for that below here. It starts on March the 3rd, 2025. Our conversation was about so much more than that. It was about the key that opens up your individuality in your artwork. I started out by asking Nick to talk a little bit about this philosophy he has of art making. And he has a wonderful way of describing what art can do for us and for other people. So let's go have a listen.
Art is a process of becoming yourself. It's actually a doorway into discovering yourself, becoming the best version of yourself. That's a powerful way. Art is the way to you. And so when we say art of your life, literally the kind of art that we all want to make, the kind of art that's kind of the easiest, that has the real potential for being something in the world and selling and, getting people who follow it, is personal, is the art of you. It is the essential, what you want to make, what you desire to make, what feels like you, what's based on who you are and who you're becoming. That kind of art is what we teach. And it's different for everybody. And it literally is the art of your life. So people who are peering into making art for the first time, they look at something that maybe they want to make a certain kind of picture or whatever. But the way I teach art and the way this workshop, how it delivers the information, is so it is more based on looking inside of yourself, because everything you need, you already have. And we just give you information and tools so you can unlock that. Creating the art of your life sounds like a tall order. But you get on this path. That's the creative path. And it's different for everyone. But this kind of art is powerful. It's easier to make. It's different in the world. And especially in fine art, that's powerful, right? If you're unique, and that kind of work rises to the surface. So, we're all different. Every single person listening and every single person in the world, all 6 billion of them, are different. And when you learn how to express those differences, the art becomes the same, and it becomes more valuable and saleable and shareable and more congruent to make for you.
And what's amazing is your workshop, and this is a free workshop that's coming up, and it's 5 days, and you've done this for years, and I've been through it. Other people listening, some people might have been through it. And if you haven't been through it, everything you just said, I remember. So I'm British and I'm cynical. And I remember when I heard you talking about it, and to anyone else, British or European listening, Americans are always so enthusiastic, right? And we are not. If we have some enthusiasm, we keep it, on the download. Don't want anybody to know I'm getting too excited. So when you were talking about this and I signed up for it, there was a part of my brain that was going, I really hope this is true, because I've been struggling for years now. But I also don't think it can be. This is another sales pitch, and there's a lot of sales pitches, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I did the workshop, and the first day of it, and it's changed, but basically you are still teaching the core ideas that you've always taught, and that is so important. And the first day, everything changed for me. Not that I don't mean I became a genius at art that night.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean that, like, you literally opened up a door to show me where my paintings had been going wrong for so long. And I painted till about 3 a.m, and I'm not particularly young and I don't stay up that late. And I was up painting because I was just so excited to get out every painting and improve it from where it had been.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that, to say to people that this is genuinely life-changing if you are someone who is struggling with what you're doing. But Nick, to the people who were saying, as I was, well, this is fine if you have talent. right? This is fine if you're
Yeah.
a gifted
Yeah.
artist, but I'm not because I've been trying and I can't do it. What do you say to that?
Well, first, let me just say that I am mostly British because both my parents are born in England and came to the United States, and I was born here. So I have a sweet spot, and I think I can communicate well. Like the best teachers I've ever had. They're always from England. It's just so interesting.
Mhm.
So I love that. So I understand that cynicism a little bit, or just kind of keep like, let's not get too
Skepticism,
excited
maybe
here,
yeah, skeptical. Yeah.
Right. But I think of it like this. Picture someone who's trying to learn tennis, for example, because this is more straightforward. And you can be out there and you can just practice, 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 practice. And there's, Malcolm Gladwell, practice 20,000 hours and you're going to become an expert. You just got to put in the time, put in the time, put in the time. And there's a certain truth to this, but there's also if somebody, a coach or someone who's further ahead of you can say, hey, come here, and you walk off the tennis court and you go inside and they sit you down and they tell you a few things, a few strategies, a few ways to think before you hit the ball, or maybe don't look at the ball when it's hitting your racket. Think about where it wants to go. Look there instead. They can tell you a few things 15, 20 minutes, and then you go back out onto that tennis court and your level of playing jumps like 20%
Hmm.
in like minutes.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing here. This isn't magic. This is just opening people's eyes to principles and some ideas that are very accessible and really understandable and usable. And what you discovered was once you saw it, you can't unsee it. And
Mhm.
then you were able to kind of fix your work.
Yeah.
But and I do know about the limiting belief around there's only so much talent to go around the world. My sister has all of it. I didn't get any, so I went into engineering. This is one thing that I am 1000% positive, and I've spent my whole life teaching art. I started teaching, coaching right out of school when I was 20 years old. I have never ever met anybody who we couldn't help make amazing art if they were interested, and they can make powerful personal work. Creativity is hardwired into the operating system of a human being. We don't need talent. All we need to do is have a certain mindset and a curiosity and an interest, and we can act on that. And there is no such thing as talent. I don't believe in it. It's just if someone's interested and they have the information. That tennis player could just stay mediocre their whole life and keep working hard at it. And
Mhm.
they could have played tennis much longer than someone who comes out who has coaching and they get really good really fast. You need to have all the information. And that's something that people just don't have. And unfortunately, art is not taught in a way that is really clear and understandable, meaning there's certain things, principles and ideas that are more powerful than other ones. And in this free workshop, I'm teaching some of the most powerful ones. So the thing that you learned that you were playing around with that first day was so effective because it was so powerful. I could have taught you some little tricky thing about color, but that's not going to make a big difference in art making. So there's a hierarchy of the information, and that's just not taught like that. So I teach that. But unpacking this belief, working on people's beliefs of what's possible is also part of what we're doing in the free workshop. That's really, really important. And everybody can do this. I mean, I know artists want to think that they're really, really special and there's
Yeah.
only so many of us and all of that.
Yeah.
But it's just not the case. Every single person anywhere can become an artist, is already an artist, frankly. So that's what we're out to change in the world and prove that because we believe artists are going to save the world. I'm telling you, more people who are creative, they're more open, they're more curious. This is what we need in the world. And this is part of the mission of Art to Life to help more and more and more people become more themselves using art.
I love that idea because all around the world, wherever people are watching, in
Yeah.
whichever country, there are problems, right? At the moment, in whichever country you are, there are economic problems, there's all sorts happening. And I get asked that question a lot about, well, is there any point in me in my studio moving paint around when all this stuff's happening? There's a war and there's this and people are dying. And I agree with you. Never has it been more important because
Yeah.
what do we turn to when we have difficulties in life? We turn to art, music, books, poetry, novels, paintings. We turn to art. So what happens if all the artists go, oh, I'm going to go be a doctor and help save lives? Then there's no one left to make that stuff. So I think
No,
it's so important.
yeah, and here's the thing, the art making, it's an invitation for you to become a kind of a new version of yourself, the aspirational one, right? It's like, who are you going to become to make this art that you imagine, that you desire to make? It's a whole progression. And that is a wonderful journey to be on. And what's so cool about this is, and this is also, I use that metaphor of the tennis player. If you understand this, it allows you to improve and get better and better and better. And that's really great. It's built into art making because if you participate in this and you're thinking in the right way, your art improves. And that's all we need. We just need to be on the journey of getting better. We just need to be on the journey of like, wow, last year I was here. I was so scared to even start, but now I'm actually doing this and I'm enjoying myself and the
Mm-hmm.
work's getting better and I like it more. And it turns out other people like it. There's a whole progression that's just waiting for somebody, for anybody who wants to participate and bring some creativity into their life.
I think one of the things I'd like you to talk about as well in terms of your teaching is what massively affected me is I believed when people said you've just got to paint like yourself, don't paint like other people. I was like, what does that look like? There's just a blank in my head of what that might be. I don't know
Yeah.
what myself is. I only know what other people paint like. And you teach this idea of choosing and of
Yeah.
discernment and of preferences that suddenly
Yeah.
makes sense. So can you explain a little bit about that?
And I so get it, right? It's like, well, I don't know what I want to do. Sometimes, the new year comes and it's like we make plans, we have ideas, we have dreams. And if you don't know what those are, it's actually a really good pastime to start thinking about what it is that makes you feel excited, what it is that makes you feel alive. Do you like doing yoga? Do you like it with making friends, dinner for friends? What are the things in your life that give you energy? Because in this aliveness are clues about your operating system. What are the conditions you need to be more Louise? What are those conditions? Like, I know right now you're creating this amazing studio. I saw that on Instagram, and all that. It's in this rural area. It's really beautiful. You're creating the conditions for Louise to be even more Louise. You get this thing done, man, people are going to come there. You're going to be in your environment,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we have to get good at understanding what it is that excite us. Now, when it comes to art, that same discernment comes in, and this is why it teaches us who we are. Because, well, what am I going to do? Well, I don't know, so I'm just going to start and play. And now, what do I like? Well, actually, the only thing I like is this little corner here. I love it when that pink color and that little bit of yellow is next to each other. I love those colors. That's great information. So you do more of that. You start choosing and discerning what it is that Louise loves, what it is that Nick loves.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the beginning of the journey of the artist. And you keep doing this, choosing. And over time, believe it or not, you get better and better and better at choosing. And that's why the art gets better. And that's why it gets more refined. That's why we'll pay so much more for an artist's work that has a long career, because their discernment has gotten just amazing. We're in awe of it. It's like Andrew Wyeth, like, wow, like his colors, his subject matter, his compositions, it's so refined.
Hmm.
It's very, very different than when he was 7. This is what we're doing. It's about choosing what brings us alive. And this is where we begin. And I'll be talking about this in the free workshop. I have a kind of a whole like revolutionary approach to art making called Bloom. But Bloom is about setting up yourself, feeling who you are more powerfully and making your art from this place. Because when you do that, the work's easier, the work connects to people more, and it's more different in the world. Of course, if it's more like Louise, then it's not like anybody else. But if Nick is making work and it's kind of like David Hockney, well, it's always going to be kind of like David Hockney.
Yeah.
I need to find, like, look at David Hockney. What do I love? But filter it through who I am, and more importantly, who I'm becoming. It is such a
Yeah.
cool invitation. And that's why I'm so excited about it, to get to see people. Now I've been at this a long time. So I'm tracking so many people, yourself included, like, oh my God, I remember when, and
Mhm.
you even saying, I don't even know what Luis wants. And I just know your work now. And it's like, oh my God, you answered that so powerfully. And you're on to bigger and better things now, and you're just cruising. But it's amazing. And I'm sure for everyone listening, like, Louise, you didn't know what you liked. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. When I tell people that, or when I show people, I just found some little paintings I did in 2010, I think, at a workshop in New York, still life paintings. And I remember that the teacher of the workshop was trying to get us to use a big brush and be loose. And I couldn't. I was so tight trying to draw these lemons, paint these lemons. My paintings are so boring. I've got them still, and I look and I go, they're so boring. And now I see what she was trying to do, but I wasn't ready for it. And yet, a little bit of understanding that you gave in that workshop, suddenly I was like, oh, right, I get it, that why we
Yeah.
need to do that. How is the workshop structured to get, I mean, we're saying 5 days and you will change your art, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying it too because it happened to me, but how? How can they change it in 5 days?
Well, just like what you experienced, what I discovered, it's really the way things are talked about. It makes it usable right away and understandable. Art making is so complicated. So these principles are very actionable. They're very easy to assimilate. I can teach them to someone who's never made art before, and they can use them right away, and they can see it and they can understand it. And when I say they can see it, is they can see when something's been changed with a principle, they like it more. So a lot of us think that, well, there's art is so subjective, like you might like it, you might not, it doesn't matter what's good, what's not. It's actually not true. I mean, generally, more powerful art rises to the surface. You think of an art show, and if you ever you go to an art show, there's always a couple that are amazing, some exhibition, and those are always the ones that sell right away. Like it's powerful art is powerful art. I love this because now there's a possibility here. All we need to do is get our art strong, and then that unlocks all kinds of opportunities for us in a career or just selling our work or whatever we want to do with it. It's based on getting the work really strong. And the way we do that is we have people check in on their own preferences, right? What it is that they feel that they love. Does this color, do they like this green color more than this yellow color? There's no right or wrong answer, but everyone can choose one or the other. They don't know why. They just say, I just like the yellow one. Well, that's what we do. And that's what we have people lean into. And so it's a process, it's an approach to making art, and more of finding your way as you go. So you end up with something that feels like you, and it's so satisfying. And it turns out that makes really powerful art.
The other thing I want to mention about this, so when you teach people these principles, you can't help then but for it to come into your life. And
Yes.
for example, this place where I'm building a retreat, it's out in the middle of nowhere, and there aren't very many out in the middle of nowheres in the UK because it's tiny. You have to look for a place that's in the middle of nowhere. And I've discovered that's what I like. I'm not particularly fond of big crowds of people. I like being in the middle of nowhere. I like being in a field in my wellies. I like that. That is where I'm
Yeah.
happy. And to have the courage, though, to say that I didn't have before, to change the colors in my house, to change the clothes I wear, to
Yeah.
everything, because when you realize, oh, I'm not choosing, I'm just going along, I'm not choosing, and now I can choose in my
Yes.
paintings, then I start choosing in life. Then, as I choose in life, it affects my paintings. So,
Yes.
when you say 5 days, it is 5 days, but it goes on and on and on once
Yes.
you've learned that skill.
Yes, it's, we're teaching an approach, right? We're teaching an approach to life. It's an artful approach. Like, of course, we want to choose what brings us alive. If you start choosing whatever that is, you're going to live out in the country, you will have a higher frequency. You will have a higher energy. And it's the energy that you can put into your work, into your life, into your relationships. All of that come from changes everything, and
Yeah.
people can feel it. What people are responding to when they see your picture and they say, "Oh my God, it's so good, so raw." They don't realize, but what they're saying is, I am a regular muggle type person and I don't believe I can make art, and I buy art and I appreciate art. They're attracted to it and they see what you've done, and it basically subconsciously double click on it. Underneath what they're saying is, I recognize in you this aspect of myself that I can't feel the way you feel, but I can buy something that reminds me of this possibility for myself.
Yeah.
And when you get that, you really start to understand the power of and the need for artists in the world, because that's why they're buying it, and they want to hold it. They don't have anything. They can't be you, Louise. They don't know that this is a possibility for them, but they can grab it and then they can look at it every day. They'll go put it in their bedroom and then they look at it and they go, "Oh, I just love that." I
Hmm.
remember seeing a interview with Lance Armstrong before he had all the chaos and the corruption stuff, but he was just on top of the world, most incredible athlete in the world, and amazing, and had this huge cancer foundation. And I saw this interview, I think it was 60 Minutes, and they were filming him, and he was in his apartment in I think it was in Italy someplace, and he's walking around this villa, and he's doing this interview, and he's standing in front of paintings and sculptures, and he's saying, "Yeah, well, I was in Paraguay and I found this artist and I bought this one." Then he'd moved to the next one, and he was basically talking about himself through these other artists, saying, Look at me, and I have this amazing art here, and
Mm.
now I'm this, and I have this art here." And I just couldn't believe it, because here's Lance Armstrong, but he is lifting himself up and saying that I am like this too, right? Like, this painting is, it's incredible, and I can see that, so I'm incredible a little bit too.
Yeah.
So this is the power of art, and one of the reasons, one of the subconscious reasons why people need it in the world, because everyone's walking around the planet wanting to feel alive. This is the universal.
Hmm.
People, billionaires, they get hot air balloons and they float around the planet. They got all the money in the world. They want to feel alive, right? It's things aren't going to do it. They want to experience things that make them feel alive. So this is what we're tapping into. This is what we're tapping into when we make art for ourselves, but it's also why people buy art.
That is the other side of this 5 days, is once you learn these principles, which you're going to teach, like you're going to teach massive principles that people would pay a lot of money to take a course and learn these
Yeah,
things. You're going to do it all for free, and it will help you. Then you'll know how to take your art to that next level.
absolutely. Yeah. And of course, we have, our creative visionary program, and we do a whole thing for people who want to go further. But make no mistake, Art to Life's vision, mission has a lot to do with this free workshop. We literally teach thousands of people, and thousands of people come back every year. We've been teaching people online in this free way for years because we give you enough information so you can run with this thing and just take it. The more artists we can turn on in the world, the better everyone will be.
And I know you're busy, so I don't want to really hold you up, but can you tell people, just practically speaking, if I've never done an online workshop, what do I have to do? Do I have to be somewhere at a certain time? How does it work?
So the way the free workshop, you want to, I think you've got a link here. Get that link. So then we will be able to communicate with you. We'll send you an email. The way we do it is in the morning on Monday morning. So the workshop's 5 days and pretty much every morning.
March the 3rd to the 7th.
March 3rd to March 7th. Well, we send you an email. It's a video recorded lesson. It's really quite tight. It's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And I'm going over a principle. And I want to do this and just get your wheels turning, give it to you so you can understand it. And then that afternoon, I want you to come to a live studio training with me. And that's where I'll unpack that and we'll actually be making art together. So it's sort of this early morning video lesson that I send out each day. And then each day at 12 noon Pacific time, we do the in-studio live training. And I've got guests and I've got all things. And you don't need a lot of materials. Any paper will do, any paint you have lying around, pens, crayons, it doesn't matter. The principles apply to any kind of work. But you want to have something so you can get in motion as well. That's important. And we're going to be doing that all the way till Friday.
If somebody's in a different time zone or at work, they can watch the live thing later, can't they? So they don't miss.
Yes, once you've signed up on the link, you will be given access to, it's basically a web page where here's what the lesson was this morning, here's the live studio training, and it'll all be listed so you can go back and watch. And we keep them up so people can review it, right? Because they're pretty packed. But try to come to the live thing. It's really cool, and the whole workshop builds on Friday, where we take all these pieces and we put it together for you on Friday. So that's the big one. That live training on Friday is super important.
Excellent. Well, it sounds amazing. I'm going to be there again because it always changes every year. I know last
you'll
year
see there's some new stuff. Yeah,
last year it really went to a whole new level. So this year I'm sure it's even better. It was 2018 when I did it, so that was 6 years ago now. A lot of time's passed.
And look what's happened to your work. I mean, it's just amazing. And look at the impact you've had. You know, when we did our podcast together, Louise, and the way you talk about art, and I know you know this, and I know everyone who follows you knows this, but it's like you have an ability to connect with people and make it possible for them to do this, to express themselves. And it's just massive. And it's been so cool to just watch you unfold, to just bloom into
is the word. Because for anyone thinking, well, this couldn't be me, seriously, I thought it couldn't be me. And to the idea of teaching other people. And when I first met you, I made my art in a closet. And now I'm building a giant studio from nothing. So
that's right. You were doing it in the closet.
I was in a little cupboard. It's like it was supposed to be a boot room, a little, where you hung your coats, but I turned it into a painting space. And that's not to say don't be scared to take the workshop because you think, oh my God, I don't want to build a giant studio. Everyone will do their own thing. Everyone will bloom in their own way, but that is what's so cool.
We're designed, like I believe we're here to expand at whatever things we're interested in doing, right? Like to co-create with our creator, call it God or energy or whatever, and to expand and to have an impact in the world and chase and live to your potential. And that feels so good. And what you've done and what you've demonstrated. And I think why you're so powerful and why people can believe you is because you don't forget how small you felt when you start. I mean, when you say, I didn't think I could teach, I know you didn't because I remember.
Yeah.
And the fact is you are now. And it's like, well, wait, how is that happening?
Yeah. How is this happened? How did I get here? Talking heads. I should put that music over this.
So great.
Well, thank you so much, Nick. Is there anything else that we need to tell people? We've given them the dates. I'm going to put the link not only to the workshop, but I'll put the link to your podcast and other things below so people can find everything. But the main link is the workshop. That's where we want people to
Yes.
go.
And joining that Facebook's kind of powerful because I'll be going in there before this, before next week, sharing some things. Some of the coaches that are going to be helping are going to share some things. There's a bunch of value add stuff in the group if you want to do that. And again, if you don't, a lot of people don't want to be on Facebook, that's fine. We have a whole YouTube thing, and you will be able to watch it there as well and participate. No, I think that's about it. I'm just so excited, and I so appreciate you, letting all of your amazing people know about this and come. And I look forward to seeing you
Yeah.
there as well.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Nick.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.